So I've been doing some more reading and research on this decision that was made against Donald J. Trump, the former great president of the United States, number 45, from Latita James, the district attorney, New York City. Now, as you all know, Trump, and I don't want to repeat this because I made this in my last video, but started off in New York. He made his name in New York City. And he invested in New York City during a time where nobody wanted to invest in New York City in the 70s. I mean, they actually called it Fear City, if you could believe it, because it was just destitute. I mean, it was filled with crime and it was really, really bad. And his first big major project, the Commodore Hotel, was closing down. The Trump organization invested $100 million and turned it into the most luxurious hotel in the Grand Central area, the Grand Hyatt. I mean, that led on to, tremendous amounts of deals, including obviously the famous Trump Tower on Fifth Avenue. Now, the thing is that, which I didn't know at first, I thought that there was gonna be like just a fine of $250 million. Again, this is alleged. I don't know if this is set in stone, but now from what I'm reading, that's like in other words, what they're saying, that's the bare minimum fine. That's the bare minimum, meaning that it could go a lot higher. It could be 600 million. Okay. And on top of that, okay, they're taking away his the licensing and the certificate of business, whatever it is, that they constitute for him to do business in New York City, the certificate of his business licensing and everything. In other words, he can't do business in New York City anymore. That's from what I'm reading. They're telling this guy that he cannot use his name, Trump, in New York City. So, is this possible that they could take Trump off Trump Tower? Now, the thing about Trump Tower that a lot of people don't understand is it's a mixed unit. They have the offices and they have the condominiums. So in other words, even though his name is on the building, people own their own like condominiums. People have long-standing leases. So it's not merely by taking off the name. It's not like the businesses is good. Like the people inside the building will not be affected. They're gonna still own their condominium. They're gonna still have their long-term leases for the business, but there could potentially be a different name. Can you imagine that? There could potentially be a different name on that building. Wow. And then he's got so many projects in New York that he has licensing with. I know the golf courses, the Woolman Ring. He has a lot of other buildings too in New York. I believe there's a few of them that Trump International Hotel. Just one of them rings the bell in my head. There's a lot of them. So now would that mean all the Trump names would come down on all the buildings? And then the last thing is that they might actually ask his children, who are executives in the Trump organization, to step down. That's crazy. I mean, this is real. I mean, they're really looking to I don't know what the word is, destroy this guy. I mean, I've never seen anything in the likes of this in my whole life. I mean, now this is the thing. So let's talk about the pros and we'll talk about the cons. Donald Trump, I don't believe, okay? I love the guy. But let's say that this judgment turns out to be 600 million. I don't know if he has that type of money liquid. And that would mean the liquidation of assets. He would have to sell assets. Now, typically what most real estate people do is when they sell assets, they put the money right back into another real estate project. You follow me? To avoid capital gain tax, which could be as high as 50%. So another thing is a lot of Donald Trump's properties are not paid in full, meaning they have mortgages on it. Like just to name one, I'll give you an example: 40 Wall Street, okay, which is the Trump building in Wall Street. Now, let's say I'll just give you for instance. I know he has $100 million loan on that property. Okay, it's $100 million mortgage. So let's say he sold that building for some enormous price, $400 million. right off the bat, 200 million's got to go to Uncle Sam, right? And then, so he's got 200 million left. Now he's got to pay off the mortgage on the property, which is 100 million. And then whatever it is, closing costs, legal costs, he'll probably be left with under, even if he sold 40 Wall Street for $400 million, he would be left with under 100 million. So for him to raise $600 million, what I'm going to think he's going to do, this is again, it's alleged, it's subject to my opinion, he's going to go to his followers, you know what I mean, and try to raise all that money. And it's a possibility he could do it because he's done it many, many, many times before. But this is the thing. All right, so let's say his followers give him anywhere between $250 million to $600 million, which is very, very possible that could happen. Very, very possible. The thing is, it still doesn't take away the fact that they're not allowing him to do business in New York anymore, which is where he started, which is where he made his name. And just what is this all about? That he inflated his net worth. In other words, to get favorable loans, to get favorable insurance premiums. Again, I repeat, and I don't want to be redundant here because I said this before, but shouldn't some of the blame also go to the banks? You understand what I'm trying to say? Look, the thing is that he's a celebrity. So you want to know the difference between Donald Trump and, say, me or any average Joe, is that if we go to a bank and we ask for a loan, they're going to do a lot of due diligence. You follow me? They're going to come to our home. They're going to conduct an appraisal. They're going to speak to real estate professionals. They're going to do everything they got to do to assure that our real estate property is worth exactly what we're saying. I think in the case of Donald Trump, because he was a celebrity, the guy's on Forbes. So he's on Forbes and they're saying he's worth $3 billion. He's a big famous real estate developer. He's all over the place. I guess banks just took his word for it. That's what it is. They didn't conduct appraisals. They didn't do a lot of homework. They didn't do a lot of due diligence. They just took his word for it. But I feel, I hate to say this, that all the blame should be put on Trump. I mean, I'm not saying to you what he did was right. Like, here's one last example. In the case of Mar-a-Lago. Mar-a-Lago, see, a lot of people don't understand this. It's not a house. You understand? It's not a house. It's not like it's just his private home. It's a club. Okay. So what happens is it changes the zoning. You understand? Like, let's say, just as an example, if it was zoned R1, if it was residential real estate, that type of property would probably be worth $500 million. And so, in other words, that's kind of like what Trump did. He listed it as if it was a house, but it's not a house. It's a country club. Okay. So what happens, because it's a country club, it goes under a different zoning. And most people, now again, I'll say it's alleged, but most real estate professionals are saying Mar-a-Lago is actually worth only $18 million. Again, because it's a country club. So this is kind of like the things he was doing. But again, you would think the banks would know, right? Wouldn't the banks know that Mar-a-Lago is a country club and that Mar-a-Lago is not a private residence? So I just feel that, yes, what he did was wrong. No question about it. But actually, they said he inflated his net worth over $2 billion, so like $2.2 billion. I'm not saying to you that that's right, but I also think some of the blame should go to the bank, right? Not just to take someone's word for it. They wouldn't do it for us, right? They wouldn't do it for the average Joe. I think they should have did a little bit more due diligence. But anyway, what's your opinions on this? This is some crazy. I mean, I think this is the hardest hit that he got regarding everything, regarding the 4 indictments, regarding, the impeachments, regarding everything. This is the hardest hit, because this literally can now affect his business. This could affect the Trump organization moving forward as a corporation. What's your opinion? This video is not financial advice. I am not a financial planner. This video is for entertainment purposes only.